In this video, I will show you how to expand a logarithmic expression. In order to do this, we will be using these three properties: the product rule, the quotient rule, and the power rule. According to the product rule, if you have the log of something times something, you can write it as 2 logs joined by addition. If you have the log of something divided by something, according to the quotient rule, you can rewrite it as the log of the numerator minus the log of the denominator. And then for the power rule, if you have an exponent, the log of something with an exponent, you can take that exponent and put it in the front, so it becomes like this. For problem number 11, the first thing we want to do is go ahead and raise each one of these expressions to the third power. So what we really have is log base 6 of 2 to the third power times 7 to the 18th power. Remember, when you raise a power to a power, you multiply. All right, so now that we've done that, let's use the product rule. If I have the log of something times something, I can split it apart as the sum of 2 logs. So I could write this as the log base 6 of 2 to the third power plus the log base 6 of 7 to the 18th power. Finally, let's use the power rule, which says that we can take these exponents and put them in the front. All right, when you're expanding, this is what you do. So the final answer will be 3 log base 6 of 2 plus 18 log base 6 of 7. For number 12, we must first understand that a cube root is the same thing as the 1/3 power. So look, just off to the side, understand that the cube root of u times v is the same thing as u times v to the 1/3 power. And then I would raise each one of these to the 1/3 power. So this would be the same thing as u to the 1/3 power times v to the 1/3 power. So that's what I'm going to do when I get to this part of the problem. So this is the same thing as having log base 4 of w times u to the 1/3 power times v to the 1/3 power. And now I can use the product rule to separate this into the sum of 3 logs. So this would be log base 4 of w plus log base 4 of u to the 1/3 power plus log base 4 of v to the 1/3 power. And finally, when you are expanding, you take these exponents and you put them in the front. All right, that's called the power rule. So this will bring us to the final answer, which is going to be log base 4 of w plus 1/3 log base 4 of u plus 1/3 log base 4 of v. Number 13, the square root of a times b. Again, don't forget that the square root of a times b is the same thing as a times b to the 1/2 power. And that's going to be the same thing as a to the 1/2 power times b to the 1/2 power. So that's what I'm going to put when I get to this part. So this will be the same thing as log of c times a to the 1/2 power times b to the 1/2 power. So now the product rule gives me log c plus log a to the 1/2 power plus log b to the 1/2 power. So all that's left is to use the power rule and put these exponents as coefficients. So the final answer will be log C plus 1/2 log A plus 1/2 log B. For number 14, remember that the square root of 7 times 11 is the same thing as 7 times 11 to the 1/2 power, which is the same thing as 7 to the 1/2 power times 11 to the 1/2 power. So this quickly becomes log base 5 of 3 times 7 to the 1/2 power times 11 to the 1/2 power. Using the product rule, I have log base 5 of 3 plus log base 5 of 7 to the 1/2 power plus log base 5 of 11 to the 1/2 power. All that's left is to use the power rule to move these exponents to the front. So the final answer will be log base 5 of 3 plus 1/2 log base 5 of 7 plus 1/2 log base 5 of 11. For number 15, before we get started, we need to raise each of these to the second power. So the problem will first become log base 8 of, and then I will have a to the 6th power times b squared. So now we can use the product rule to rewrite this as log base 8 of a to the 6th power plus log base 8 of b squared. Finally, we will use the power rule to put these exponents in the front. So the final answer will be 6 log base 8 of a plus 2 log base 8 of b. Let's use the quotient rule. So this will immediately become log base 4 of 10 to the 3rd power minus log base 4 of 3 to the 6th power. Then we will use the power rule, which allows us to put these exponents in the front. So the final answer should be 3 log base 4 of 10 minus 6 log base 4 of 3. For number 17, you first must recognize that the cube root is the same thing as the 1/3 power. So this is the same thing as x times y times z to the 1/3 power. And that is the same as having log base 7 of x to the 1/3 power, y to the 1/3 power, z to the 1/3 power. Then you can use the product rule to write this as the sum of 3 logs. So log base 7 of x to the 1/3 power plus log base 7 of y to the 1/3 power plus log base 7 of z to the 1/3 power. Then we will use the power rule, which allows us to put these exponents in the front of each term. So your final answer should be 1/3 log base 7 of x plus 1/3 log base 7 of y plus 1/3 log base 7 of z. For number 18, the first thing we have to do is raise the numerator and the denominator to this power. So this is the same thing as having log base 4 of 2 to the 30th power. When you raise a power to a power, you multiply, over 5 to the 5th power. Then we would use the quotient rule to write this as the difference of two logs. So we will have log base 4 of 2 to the 30th power minus log base 4 of 5 to the 5th power. And finally, we will use the power rule to take these exponents and move them to the front. So the final answer should be 30 log base 4 of 2 minus 5 log base 4 of 5. For number 19, we can go straight to the product rule and write log base 7 of x plus log base 7 of y plus log base 7 of z squared. So all that's left is to use the power rule and put this 2 in the front. So the final answer should be log base 7 of x plus log base 7 of y plus 2 times log base 7 of z. For number 20, the first thing we have to do is to apply the power of 2 to the numerator and the denominator. So this will become the natural log of 6 to the 6th power, right? When you raise a power to a power, you multiply, over 5 squared. Then we will use the quotient rule. So this will be the natural log of the numerator minus the natural log of the denominator. And then finally, we will use the power rule to put these exponents in the front of each term. So the final answer will be 6 times the natural log of 6 minus 2 times the natural log of 5. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. Go ahead and click here in the red apple to watch the next video. Click in the green apple to subscribe, or click the yellow apple for the full playlist.